So what we're going to talk about here is four palms. Four palms, just so you know, as I go through it, I'm going to really rely on some of the stuff I talked about in the first video, in the first series of videos when it came to cover four quarters, because palms is another type of match defense, which with some different rules. So if you didn't watch that video, you might want to go back and just review that stuff, because I might use some terminology that might come from that video, and knowing the general understanding of quarters, okay? But cover four palms. So just so I go through this coverage is really a college coverage. It was used in the pros a little bit for 3x1, but really a college-based coverage where it was really meant to stop some of the zone bubbles. Teams that came out and ran bubble reads, pretty much the bubble screen with the zone read inside, RPO style. And really what happened was teams were really getting away with being able to combine the issues you get with running four verticals versus a team, and then them having to be able to defend the run game with the defender that's probably, you know, a guy who's a corner or a nickel who has to come in and basically take away one of these interior gaps. Because right now, if you're running cover four, if you're running any type of too high defense, traditional too high defense, cover two, and even in certain cover threes, you know, this interior gap, the B gap here, would either have to be taken by a linebacker or taken by possibly a nickel. And to make a long story short, to put him in a bind, if he wanted to come in and try to take away one of these interior gaps, now they ran a bubble play off of it so that they can always have the more numbers, okay? So what teams decided to do was come up with an idea called four palms. Four palms uses the quarters coverage rules of match defense on any type of route that's deep down the field. So you still have here, I started off in just four verticals. It's the same thing where everybody's matching up with the same rules as quarters. Basically, the four deep defenders will take care of the four underneath, the four receivers going vertical here, okay? So that's nothing new. But where the power of palms versus 2x2 comes from some of the routes that I just talked about, where two goes to the flat. And now those quarter flat defenders who I just talked about were in a bind, and they couldn't necessarily jump those routes or get out on those routes because they had to worry about the run game, play action game. What would happen is now they would be able to not worry about it because the corners have different rules. So let me just go through those. Okay, so I'm gonna get four palms here. I'm on the offensive side, so I'm gonna change some of the coverage, some of the plays here, and what we get. So the corners, okay, what they're doing is reading 2-to-1. All right, 2-to-1. So if two runs anything that's an out-breaking route under 5 yards, a quick out, a bubble, a quick flat route, they would essentially become a flat defender. Okay, they would jump it, make it simple. All right, and because of that, you know, now it turns into a semi version of cover two match. So the safeties are also reading 2-to-1. So if two does go out, then the safeties will now jump number one, who's going vertical. So I'm actually going to run a flat route here because I think that's the best way to do it. To start on the left side of the screen, and I'll do a regular out route on the right side of the screen. So basically this turns into a cover two style defense, but anytime two goes out when it comes to the safeties, the corners, and I'll talk about the quarter flat defenders here in this defense in a second. So as you see on the right side, left side of the screen, it turns into a two, kind of a cover two, a soft two, but it's really more of like a match cover two. All right, you don't teach the safety to just play a spot on the field. You really teach him to go get number one. He needs to get there quickly. But as we see, number two goes to the flat. The corner's reading 2-to-1. He comes down and he plays that guy to the flat. And here the safety, now he's working with a lot more width. So the one thing I noticed, you know, in cover two, regular cover two, two-man, cover six, where it's playing cover two coverage, the half-field safeties have, you know, they try to get some width, but they don't play with a lot of width. They play a little slow, so you can still get those sideline routes. Here, you see how number one, the safety, he is basically getting more width quickly. He's not getting any depth. He's just trying to get width, because if a quarterback wants to try to throw a seam route, or a hole shot down the sideline, on the outside, he cannot, you know, he wants to be able to intercept that. So that's the rule there. Now let me see on this side. So it might be a little bit of a slower break by the corner, but two goes out, and he should jump that. So from what I've noticed just in general, because I was looking at this in the 3 match videos that I made, it seems like the game is taking any type of 5-yard out route and they're really almost treating it like a vertical. They're not treating, I don't know what the programming is, but out routes to them are only routes that go to the flat under 5 yards. So anytime a tight end like Kittle right here goes up the field and then out, they're treating that like a vertical route. Okay, so just so you know, if this was a vertical route or any type of route past 5 yards, you know, the corner's keying 2 to 1. He doesn't see it as a quick out, so he's just going to match up on number 1, just like quarters, turns back into regular quarters. And the same thing with the free strong safety. He is going to take that as in his mind, it's not a vertical route. So now he's going to go look to help out on number 1 or any type of post or dig or any type of curl. And if not, he frees up. All right. So that's the rules basically for the deep defenders. All right. So now let's talk about the underneath defenders. Okay. The nickel player here. His read is 2 to 3 as usual. So the guy that's over him to 3. So basically, let's go through what could happen here. If it's if there's vertical of 1, vertical of 2, he goes straight up the field. He would try to get hands on him and just turn into a curl player. Okay, nothing new. So let's just, I'm not gonna go through all the route combinations. We'll see them as we go through, we run new plays. If he goes out right now, like we just talked about, quick out. And also I'm gonna include quickly vertical of 2. I guess the game, it says if he runs 5 yards up the field and runs out, that's still a vertical. So that's the reason why you see that guy kind of like getting hands on him, getting to play zone and just basically, you know, matching him late to the outside. But anyway, if he goes out right now, okay, it's like he does there outside right now. In his mind, it turns into now cover 2, okay, and where he becomes a vertical hook player. So he now needs to fall back inside and look for any type of route that's coming 10 to 12 yards over the top of him, like a dig, or any type of inside breaking route coming from the opposite side of the field. All right, so that's your quarter flat defender. Same thing over here. All right, so like I had talked about, this is a little bit funky because they're considering basically, you know, a 5-yard out, like a vertical route, but so it's not an out route. Basically, if this was a quick out, I'll show you here maybe in the next play. If it was a quick underneath 5-yard route, that linebacker would just sit there. He wouldn't have to chase it because he knows the corner is going to be there. But anything else, basically, he's turning into a curl flat defender. He's going to chase that late. All right. Now, because again, this is a 3-receiver hook player in the middle linebacker, his rules don't really change when it comes to playing quarters and playing this type of style defense. He needs to match number 3. So wherever 3 goes, he goes. In this case, 3 is coming out of the backfield. He's going to match him. All right. So let's just see. So the advantage of running this style of defense versus 2x2 is that you're going to get quick matches. Not quick matches. You might get an interception by the corners, who should come off and play this a certain way. And I just saw the corner on the right-hand side not come off on the 2 vertical, on the 2 going to the flat. And I think I know why. All right. I think I know why. I think if the rules go in this game, and some teams do this in real life, only when 2 is detached will the corner turn into basically his type of rule where he's reading palms, or some people call it 2 read or 4 read. Now he's going to read 2 to 1. If 2 goes to the flat right now, then he becomes basically that squat corner and he would go get that. So I just learned that right there. I should have looked at that earlier, but basically if there's any tight end that's attached in the line of scrimmage versus 2x2, when I say attached, meaning that he's next to the offensive tackle, the corner would just play true quarters. They're playing quarters to this side. There is no difference in what you would see in any other quarters defense. The only thing that could be a little bit different is maybe the quarter flat defender is not going to match quickly. I'm gonna see how he does here if I just do this to the side of the field. Yeah, here, match it. So basically, quarters coverage to the side if the tight end is in line, but if you get any type of spread look like over here to the left-hand side, they will play the read or the palms version of it. So that's the beginning of palms, all right? So a lot of people think palms has different rules, and it does. I'm sorry to say think. It does have different rules, but I'm going through each formation. I don't want to make each video too long, but really that's the beginning of palms. Anytime you have 2 detached, 2 spread, they're going to play it that way in a 2x2 formation. Now once we get into some other formations, it will look a little bit different. 3x1, stacks, bunches, things of that nature. The rules will change for palms, but that's the initial beginning video for palms. The next thing we'll do is we'll just cover through the rest of the coverages, rest of the type of formations you might get, 3x1, stacks, bunches. Some of those rules are going to be very similar to quarters coverage. That's why we started with quarters coverage to start. All right, I'll catch y'all later, man, on the next video. Peace.